far this year, and at least 3 have been swept to their death.
It's flowing about at least double of what we would normally expect this time of year.
Mark Bell of the Washoe County Hasty team says recreational swimmers and kayakers are being caught off guard by a river that's usually far more placid.
They'll decide to just maybe get in the river just a little bit, and then the river basically takes them off their feet.
It's happening all over the West. The California Highway Patrol recently plucked this man from a rock in the middle of the nearby Yuba River.
He's at the patient. Get him in.
He was just a few feet away from plunging over a 50-foot waterfall.
Okay, coming up. Power's good. Bring him up.
Here it comes. Hold your breath.
Authorities say training exercises like these are essential because while the water is raging down in Reno, there's plenty more where that came from back up here.
Most climatologists will tell you that this is a function of volatility of weather patterns, and we will see more like
50-foot
this
waterfall.
Okay,
So,
power's good. Bring him up.
Here it comes.
Carter Evans, Lake Tahoe.
Coming up in our next hour, the U.S. responds with a show of force following North Korea's missile launch. The UN Security Council has called an emergency meeting to address the growing tensions. North Korea is expected to come up in our next hour. The U.S. responds with a Poland first before heading to the G20 summit in Germany. Why it's going to be a big test for the commander-in-chief. Plus, a tragedy hits New York City's finest. An officer is killed in a violent ambush. Details from the scene ahead. You're streaming CBSN. Force following North Korea's missile launch. The UN Security Council has called an emergency. It's going to be a big test for the commander-in-chief. Plus, a tragedy hits New York City's finest. An officer is killed in a violent ambush. For the commander-in-chief. Reports following North Korea's missile launch. The UN Security Council has called an emergency. It's going to be a Good morning, everyone. I'm Anne-Marie Green. Here's a look at what to expect this hour on CBSN.
The U.S. and South Korea make a big show of force in response to North Korea's latest missile test. I'm Ben Tracy in Beijing, where there is growing pressure on China to put more sanctions on North Korea.
North Korea, quite understandably, is at the top of President Trump's agenda as he heads to Germany for the G20 summit. Before there, he comes here to Warsaw, Poland, to talk about the U.S.-Polish strategic alliance and commemorate the Warsaw Uprising during World War II. I'm Major Garrett here in Warsaw with a preview of the president's second trip abroad.
A frantic call for help after an NYPD officer is shot and killed. I'm Don Daler at the scene of the deadly ambush with new details.
Don't check your calendar. You're seeing this correctly. I'm skiing, and yes, it's July. We're at Squaw Valley near Lake Tahoe, where they got more than 60 feet of snow this winter. And a lot of it is still here. But when it all heads downstream, it can cause big trouble. We'll show you.
The U.S. is calling for global action in response to North Korea's first ever intercontinental ballistic missile test. Pyongyang claims that it can now hit the American mainland with the nuclear warhead. North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un called this week's launch a 4th of July gift to the Americans and refused to surrender his nuclear claim. In a show of defiance, the U.S. and South Korea carried out joint military drills, firing their own missiles to hit the American mainland with the nuclear warhead. Slammed China on Twitter earlier. He denounced Beijing's trade with the North and said, quote, "So much for China working with us, but we had to give it a try." Ben Tracy is following the growing tensions.
In a large-scale military exercise Wednesday, the U.S. and South Korea launched a barrage of missiles into the East Sea. The message to North Korea, we have weapons too, and they are not far away.
Korean dictator
in a statement, the Pentagon said the U.S. will use the full range of capabilities at our disposal against the growing U.S. and South Korea launched a barrage of missiles into the East Sea. After the U.S. military confirmed that the regime successfully launched an intercontinental ballistic missile on Tuesday, South Korea in a statement, the Pentagon said the U.S. will use the full range of capabilities at our disposal and estimated range of U.S. and South Korea launched a barrage of missiles after the U.S. military confirmed that the regime successfully launched an intercontinental ballistic missile on Wednesday. South Korea in a statement
a range of maybe about 300 miles. So this is considerably
the U.S. will use the full range of capabilities at our disposal and estimated range. North Korea believes that possessing nuclear weapons capable of hitting the U.S. is the only way to be taken seriously. The regime is developing its weapons more rapidly than most experts thought possible. It claims that Tuesday's test improved the accuracy of its South Korea launched a range of capabilities at our disposal and estimated range. North Korea and that it can carry a large-sized, heavy nuclear warhead.
CBS News foreign correspondent Ben Tracy is standing by. He's with me now in Beijing.
Korea.
So, Ben, it appears as if
and that it can carry a large-sized heavy nuclear warhead.
Happened just in terms of what North Korea was able to do. In terms of the response, there just aren't a lot of good options. So you have seen the United States do basically what they can do. The U.S. along with South Korea this morning launched a bunch of missiles in South Korea into the sea, basically a not so subtle reminder to North Korea that happened. We have missiles too, and North Korea was able to do. In terms of the U.S. has also called for an emergency meeting at the United Nations that'll happen this afternoon, trying to rally the international community to likely impose even stronger sanctions on North Korea. So far, that's the response you're seeing from the United States. There just aren't a lot of good options.
So you have seen the United States do basically what they can do.
The U.S. along with South Korea this morning launched a bunch of missiles in South Korea. Well, China and Russia just came out in the last couple of hours and said that they have missiles too, and they're able to do. In terms of the U.S. is also called for an emergency meeting at the United Nations that'll happen this afternoon. If you take trying to rally the international community to likely impose even stronger sanctions from China and now from Russia. So far, that's the response you're seeing from the United States.
So what about China? China has sort of long been seen as the diplomatic key here. Did they express any position on the this latest test?
A bunch of missiles in South Korea. China and Russia just came out on the line
Okay, so China says we've done everything we can do. The belief is that basically China is a lifeline to North Korea, that the country couldn't function without the support of China. What has China been doing?
So I think the message from China, it is true, China is so far that's one of the main allies. Probably just a lot of good trade.
China has
take more
here.
Today that could cause the North Korean regime to collapse.
China
and Russia is not even from the sanctions. China and so far that's the main allies.